Morning, welcome to
Morning.
Friday. Hello, Carrie. How are you doing?
Morning.
Hi
Well,
Daniel, good morning.
Good, good, good. So today we're going to talk about our anti-racism training. Sheena, take us away.
yeah, so Daniel, what I've done is through the lockdown, I think we've seen a worldwide manifestation of some of the underlying problems that have. So it's been a time of manifestation and it's been a time of revelation, hasn't it? Bringing into the light of deep underlying issues that we're dealing with, whether it's on the international stage and certainly South Africa. And some of the racist fault lines that we're seeing made manifest specifically in America have I think helped people give language to what's happening to them here in institutions here, like our schools. So we've seen an encouragement or a putting of courage into individuals, school children, particularly to speak out about what has been happening to them. So they, from what I'm seeing, they're very kind of insightfully and thoughtfully talking about the systemic, the institutional, and the individual racism that still prevails today. And so I'm running various dialogues in schools, trying to, help schools confront these issues and address these issues. It's not easy work, but we ran a 3-day anti-racism dialogue training recently for mediators. And what we did, as you know, is we listened to, read, and talked about various issues, and we went deep, didn't we, Daniel? We went deep.
We did.
It was deep self-work. It was uncomfortable work, but we all felt that it was very necessary work. So we faced up to ways in which, for example, you and I and Carrie still benefit by the racist systems that are hardened into our systems. So what I've done is I've consolidated some of the thinking on this, and I've now split up the 3 days into 3 themes. So the first theme we're going to look at is the systemic. So racism is systemic, it's institutional, and it's individual. And what we've tended to do is we've tended to just look at the individual. So if I'm not saying something racist, if I'm not thinking something racist of an individual, then I'm not racist. So we've tended to distill it that way or simplify it that way, but that unfortunately provides cover for the deeply embedded systems of racism that prevail in our society today. So what I've done is I've said, let's look at the systemic, and let's look at the institutional, and then let's look at the individual. They're all interconnected, and we need to dismantle all of them. So day one, we're going to look at the systemic. So we're going to look at history. We're going to look at 400 years of Western empire building. So it's the expansion that came off the back of violent exploitation and exclusion and dispossession. Okay. And we're going to look at how the effects of that are hardened into our systems today, in our policing, in our criminal justice, and in our economy. So that's the systemic. Day two, we're going to look at the institutional. We're going to have a look at how a deeply Eurocentric and Christocentric worldview still prevails in our institutions today. That's how our children are taught. That's the worldview that we are passing on to our children, regardless of their background, regardless of their culture, regardless of their faith tradition. And we're going to look at how that shows up in othering of races, othering of cultures, otherings of children that may be gay, or and how it shows up in homophobic kind of actions and manifestations, and sexist, how it shows up in sexist systems, how our systems are still very much patriarchal. So all of these discussions are interconnected, bearing in mind that we are focusing on racism as the oppression that we try to confront here. But we necessarily must have conversations about the interconnectedness of the othering that happens at an institutional level, be it education, religion, etc., all our institutions, our workplaces. And then on the third day, we look at the individual and we look at privilege, things like microaggressions, and how we actually talk about these things, the conversations we have in society, and how our biases that we must by the third day realize are deeply entrenched. Not that they're not, we haven't parted ways with these biases because they're 400-year deep. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So yeah, so I think that I'm looking forward to that. We're already going to have a school principal. We're going to have one of the former directors of arts and culture on that particular program. We're going to have us, and you know, I'm hoping many others that will contribute to the conversation, because this type of program is, we're all there to learn. We're all there to you know, we provide the grounding of the material, and we say, let's look at this and let's see how we discuss it and confront it, and how do we then run these dialogues in schools and organizations in order to try to confront something that needs to be confronted, and out of that confrontation dismantled towards a just society. And a just society is simply everyone has what they need.
Yes.
Isn't that the high point of justice? Isn't that, surely that can't be that complicated. Everyone has what they need.
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, because yeah, especially now during COVID-19, a lot has been brought to the table, and now we're faced with it, and now we need to sit and discuss it. And I think this is also what your platform and ADR network provides, is that, you know, we come together and we sit and discuss these topics, these deep conversations, and we say, how are we going to move forward? What are we going to do? And yeah,
absolutely.
I enjoyed it a lot. The first one that we had, actually.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to learn and a lot to know.
Yeah. No, we had some magnificent conversations, didn't we? I mean, Gresham, who I've known for over a decade, and who's went into accounting. I didn't know that you know, as a youngster, he wanted to be a pilot, and he had the acumen to become a pilot. But because of job reservations in those days, he couldn't become a pilot. I didn't know about someone that I work very closely with. So, and there was some deeply riveting stories, weren't there, and arresting stories, and you're sitting there thinking, this is me, this is my ignorance, this is stuff that I didn't know, I didn't realize, but it's all around me. but it's also, there's a beauty in it, isn't it? Because there's growth, and there's just a facing up to what we know we need at a deep level, isn't it?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, also, just to add on to that, I actually also, because, I've known Gresham now not for too long, but, he's known Jonathan. And I mean, we had a very deep conversation the one time, and he's about your age, or you're on Jonathan's age, and he actually admitted that we are the first white people in his entire lifetime that he could actually sit with and have a conversation like this. I was shocked, because I mean,
one thing he said to me, which I felt very sad about, and he never said that to me before, but he said to me, Sheen, you're the first white person that I've trusted. And I think, Daniel, as ADR Network SA, we are deeply committed to ensuring and insisting that South African spaces look like South Africa. So when I go to schools and they're confronting racism, and I'm looking around, and the teaching staff is still in the main people that look like us, and this is South Africa, and we should be moved by this, and moved to some sort of action and some sort of insistence that we do work towards a better world, and a space where everyone's not only invited, included, but has access to be at that table or at that banquet. It's one thing to say you're invited to the banquet, isn't it? But it's quite another to say, well, you're invited, but if you can't get there, you can't get there. And those are the things that we need to confront, and how do we achieve that in a deeply unjust society, in a deeply unequal society. And I want to specifically on these programs have conversations about how we talk about corruption, and our tendency to say the evil is over there, it's them, it's not us. And I want to have conversations about confronting the corrupt in ourselves. That's where we start, and then we connect it to other forms of corruption out there in society. And when we do that, we start seeing that we partake in this stuff in various ways. As I've said before, it's if you go to a typical South African braai and you really just open your ears, you will hear conversations about permission people give themselves to be corrupt. I know this person, I know that person, I can connect you with this person or that person. That's how corruption starts. And in the media, we see the one side of corruption. We're seeing stateside corruption. We're not seeing the private sector corruption, which is often where the corruptor comes from. We're seeing the corrupted. Who's the corruptor? Remember, corruption is transactional. And we need to have an honest conversation. I received information the other day that over 90% of the state capture summonses are being issued against white-owned companies. Why is this not being articulated and ventilated in the press? Why is the conversation about corruption levied at the black-run government? Why is cover provided for the corruption that probably eclipses what we're seeing out there, and I have some of it on my desk in terms of matters that I'm consulted in. So I know that corruption knows no demographic, and it is the capital market way rather than the individual way or the cultural way or the particular demographic way. So yeah, but Dan, I think can we leave it there for today?
Yeah,
I just wanted to make a very short introduction to our dialogue in anti-racism.
yes.
And am I allowed to congratulate you on your news?
No, that's fine. It's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll leave it for another time. But thank you so much.
Okay. Good.
Thanks.
Okay.
I mean, we'll see you soon.
Good.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.